This is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
All right, 6 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. When I was a kid, you know how other kids would say, what's your favorite color? I would always say turquoise. I don't know why. And then when I moved to Florida, I discovered all these turquoise colored water. Not really turquoise colored water. It just looks turquoise, right? Down around the Fort Lauderdale area, down the Keys, right? Some beautiful, beautiful water. You can even see it on like Google Earth. You can see that water. So I went to the Keys one time, and I've never been a diver. I've never had the aqualung thing. My brother has, and oh my gosh, some of the videos he and his wife have shown me of what they do. But I've been the snorkeler, so I've been the surface diver. But on the phone, we have Carrie Miller. She is an expert diver, a two-time Lowell Thomas Award winner, a contributing editor at National Geographic Traveler magazine, and she's on the phone to talk to us about this amazing, beautiful book published by National Geographic called 100 Dives of a Lifetime, the world's ultimate underwater destinations. And one of the dives is here in Florida. I think it's Devil's Den, Robin was telling me. Robin will be with us in just a moment. Carrie, good morning. It's an honor to have you on our show.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Where are you calling from?
I am currently in Massachusetts, but I was in Australia yesterday, so I have a bit of jet lag floating about.
Holy cow! That's around the world. How many hours does that take?
Oh, let's see. It was about 17 hours to Houston, and then another couple up here. So it's a good couple of days of travel.
Can I ask you, how did you start diving? When did that happen for you, and where were you living at the time?
So I actually only started diving a short time ago, back in April, because my husband and I got on the road for the second project that we're working on for National Geographic, where we're traveling for a continuous year. Starting in April, getting off the road mid-May, a new place every week, and that's also related to diving. So I'm still fairly new to the diving arena, but one of the things that gave me the inspiration to try and get my open water certification again, was researching this book and speaking to all of these amazing underwater explorers and photographers and divers, like Florida's Jennifer Adler Owen, the one who recommended Devil's Den to me. And that just got me saying, okay, now I have to do it. I've got to get out of the snorkeling realm and get into the diving realm.
Oh, you're making me want to do it. I might be too late for me. I'm 64. What do you think? Should I even try this?
Sylvia Earle's in her 80s, and she's still diving.
Really? And I think about this sometimes. I live in probably one of the states that has the best diving, not only off the coast, but like Devil's Den is one of the springs in our area,
yeah,
right?
It's fabulous.
Yeah, Florida is renowned for its diving. You've got Molasses Reef. You've got a couple of wrecks out there. The Keys are great. You've got all that freshwater diving. It's a short trip down to Bahamas. You know, you've got Tiger Beach off the coast. So you really have a whole wealth of sites to explore.
So my best snorkeling story I have to share with you is I went with my son when he was younger down to the Keys, and we were swimming in the waters, and there were a million fish all around us. And I thought, this is so cool, all these fish. And then we saw some barracudas, and I thought, look at that, barracudas, holy mackerel. And a lady came out and she said, you might want to get in. Those fish are attracting bigger fish. And I said, oh, I didn't think about that. So we were kind of like novices, to say the least. What I like,
there's always a bigger fish out there.
Well, that's got to be. So when you go diving, is that a nervous? Like, that would be the part that would scare me. What if a big fish comes around? What do you do?
I always count myself lucky if I get to see a shark, actually. I'm delighted when I get to see them. They are the sign of a healthy marine environment, for starters. And they have such a bad rap. They are really beautiful, curious, and actually really shy kind of creatures, and they prefer to stay well away from us if they have the opportunity. And so when you're diving, you usually get to catch glimpses of them, And but they don't really come anywhere near you.
I would never feel lucky. I would look at it. I would, if I saw a shark, it'd be like seeing a bear in the woods. I'd be, oh my gosh, that's a big animal, you know?
There's a difference, though, if you get to see it in its own environment and it's going about its daily business, as opposed to if it's sneaking up behind you. And you know, with sharks, the only times I've seen them is when they've been out in their own environment doing their thing. And so, yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Sometimes people like to dive on their own. They don't ever take a friend or a buddy with them. And that's only common sense. And then sometimes when people are not certified cave divers, they think, oh, this is a piece of cake. What can I can do this. And they go in there and they never come out.
Yeah, anything comes with inherent risks, but diving's kind of like driving a car. Where you go through the process of learning, and you learn in a safe and kind of structured environment, and then you're given the keys, and you get to start going out and exploring on your own. And if you decide to throw caution to the wind and dive on your own, or push your limits faster than you're ready for, or not use common sense, you can get into trouble. But the majority of the time, it's incredibly safe.
So on Amazon, I can scroll through the book a little bit, and there's a photo of a diver touching the chin of a shark. Is it hard to read the name? Is it Vincent Cannibal or something? Do you know the diver's name? But do you know what? One of the things I wanted to compliment the book and the work on is the photography. I mean, you guys always are able to put some great photography out there so that the rest of us can live vicariously through the work that you've done.
National Geographic is just the best of the best, and the underwater photographers spend thousands of hours underwater to get these shots, and it really shows. But I always gravitate to the pictures first. I'm a writer. I should say that I go to the text first, but pictures are always what draw you into a story.
It's hard to not look at these pictures.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, these pictures are so attractive. Oh my gosh! So tell me about the destinations that were chosen for the book.
So this book is basically a bucket list of some of the world's best dive sites, and what we're trying to do is kind of collate a collection that will be something that appeals to divers of any level, to people who are just ocean enthusiasts, who want to learn a little bit more about the marine environment. I think one of the biggest surprises for me when I first learned to dive was that there are as many different landscapes under the water as there are above. It's just this whole different world. And so we tried to include something for everybody, whether you're interested in the small stuff like the nudibranchs and garden eels and seahorses, to wreck diving, to cave diving, to big pelagic stuff like the sharks and the swordfish, and so there's something for everybody.
I'm stuck on nudibranchs. What is that? That you went right past that one.
Yeah, and there's so many people who are just nudibranch enthusiasts.
We just had a Springs Festival this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Some of the divers in our area, included in that was Mark Emery. He's one of the photographers for National Geographic, and Alan Youngblood. They recreated scenes underwater from the Sea Hunt show of the 1960s, and they used the retro dive masks and the retro aqualung and things like that, and that was pretty amazing.
It's amazing how far we've come in such a short time when you actually think about, diving being pioneered, 50s, 60s, and how far it's come along. When my husband and I were traveling in the south of France, which is where Jacques Cousteau and Frédéric Thomas, and they started doing their dive explorations and gear testing. There's a museum there that has all of that antiquated gear in there that they basically built by hand, and it's just extraordinary.
Look at some of these pictures. Are beautiful. What are these two seals? They look so cute. Oh my gosh! If I saw them underwater, I'd want to pet them, but they probably bite me too, right?
No, they're they're like underwater puppies. It's amazing swimming with seals and sea lions. They're so curious about you, and if you swim after them, they'll swim away. But if you just stay still, they'll come up and they'll swim around you. And if you spin around underwater, they'll spin around and try to mimic you. They're so much fun.
I have a question about being able to see underwater. Now, if I take a mask, obviously, and I go to the Keys, I can see everything. If I go to the local rivers, I can see everything. But if I go to, like, Daytona Beach or Jones Beach, where I grew up in New York, you can't see anything. Is it because I'm not out deep enough?
Well, different sediments cause different reactions within the water. So there can be like a very fine sand, if it can get kicked up really easily, or silt, or if you're near a river mouth and there's a lot of runoff from either the river or the waters or tannins in the soil, can affect visibility. So good or bad visibility is not necessarily an indication of good or bad water quality, but it does kind of impact your diving experience. Some people love low visibility diving. Some people prefer to be able to see all the way around them and prefer better visibility.
So could you swim, for example, in the Hudson River off of New York? Would you be able to see anything?
I think visibility would probably be very low, but you could certainly go for it.
All right. Tell me about Oregon. Can I give you a little curveball? Because that's where my brother lives with his wife, and he does dive. So I'm going to recommend the book to him. Is there anything in Oregon that is mentioned in the book?
There's nothing in Oregon that's mentioned in the book specifically, but there is good diving on that west coast. Especially up around the Vancouver Island, British Columbia area, which is featured in the book.
Okay, that's close enough.
They've got beautiful cold water reefs up there, very healthy reefs. And then we even featured a missile silo in Washington State. For the diver who's done just a little bit of everything, there's an abandoned flooded missile silo that you can go dive.
That would be scary. I'd be claustrophobic. You mean you're in a tube?
Yeah, you're in the missile silo tube.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, you must have to have a special certification for that, like be a cave diver?
I don't think you require cave diving. It's not front of mind at the moment. I think you definitely need to have your advanced certification, which just means further training, and you need to have some cave diving experience so you're comfortable in a confined environment. If you get into contact with any of the dive shops up in that area, they'd be able to walk you through what it is that you need as far as training and background.
And how about equipment like wetsuits or dry suits? Are they generally worn all the time?
Well, I've been diving some this year where I haven't worn a wetsuit because the water is very warm. It's in the 80s. Most of the time we'll wear a wetsuit, and then for cold water diving you wear a dry suit, which is basically a suit that you can wear over clothing, and it keeps your body actually mostly dry. So you can wear things like long underwear underneath of it to keep you warmer.
I'm wondering if you could comment. I'm going to say something and get a comment from you about you and also about other divers you know. And I think it applies even to me looking at a book. Sometimes when you immerse yourself in something so beautiful like these photos are showing, maybe we get a better appreciation of nature and maybe a better sense that we need to do more to preserve the environment. Did that happen for you? And has it happened for other people you know?
Oh, absolutely, like beyond a doubt. And that's one of the goals with this book. I think one of the biggest issues we have with the ocean is that most people don't have a very strong relationship with it. They might be, occasional snorkelers or swimmers in the ocean, but we don't really see what's happening, and we need to see what's happening. As of March 2017, only 3.5% of the ocean is protected. Only 1.6% of that is strongly protected. We need to get to about 30% to keep the oceans healthy. As I mentioned, my husband and I have been traveling around the world this year. Every place we've been, the weather's changing. Every single place.
Oh, really? And
yeah.
How do we protect it? You mean with government regulations, that kind of thing?
We need to have basically marine protected areas like national parks on land. There need to be those national parks in the water, and they need to be patrolled. It's all well and good to establish a huge huge marine park, which some of them have done in the South Pacific, but they have got no means of patrolling it. So illegal fishing still taking place. They still aren't able to do ocean cleanup. There's no monitoring of the situation. It doesn't mean that you can't use it. It just means that it's monitored and regulated so that the fish have an opportunity to repopulate. And, of course, they don't know borders, so they spill out. So it's better for fishermen in the long run. It just takes a few years for the fish stocks to get back to a healthy size.
I think I read somewhere that John Pennekamp is the only national park that's underwater. Am I right about that? I don't have my notes saying that.
I don't have my notes either. There's quite a few, like the United States National Park Service has quite a few national parks, but I'm not sure if they're designated national parks or marine parks. I'll have to look that up.
Okay.
But Johnny Pennecamp's a beautiful example, and that whole area in Molasses Reef, they're fighting so hard to protect it. You guys have one of the best coral research facilities down there, the Coral Restoration Foundation, where you can actually go out and volunteer as a snorkeler or diver and help clean coral trees and learn more about it. It's a really precious reef system around Florida, and the more you guys can do to look after it, better.
When a person goes to dive in other countries, are you allowed to bring all of your equipment on airlines?
Yes, so you usually don't travel with tanks. So, for example, we're traveling with everything but tanks and weights, and you need to have dive weights to help with your buoyancy levels. The rest of your dive gear, like regulators, wetsuits, fins, you can certainly travel with. And after each dive, you give them a clean, so that you're not carrying any biomass from one area to the next, basically.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I think the book is going to make people want to go diving. I don't know. Is it called Scuba? Hey, why is it called Scuba? Jacques Cousteau invented it. He was a Frenchman, and I thought Scuba meant self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. Why didn't he give it a French name?
Well, I don't know why he didn't give it a French name, but I'm happy he didn't, because I'd never be able to pronounce it.
To go back to South Florida again, when you do go down to the Keys, there are areas down there where they will take you out, not just snorkeling, but scuba diving, and they say anybody can do it. You don't need the training, and that's what, is that a good idea?
It depends. Like, for example, if you're going out with a certified shop, so there's different dive organizations. PADI is the one, obviously, the largest one that everybody knows about. If you're going out with a PADI certified dive shop, and they offer what they call a Discover Scuba Dive class, which is like basically kind of like a intro to scuba diving. So they give you a little bit of practice in the pool environment, and then they take you out on a very highly supervised dive in a very easy area so that you can get a nice sense of what scuba diving is like. That's perfectly safe. If your friend says, hey, just strap on a tank and come with me, it's easy, anybody can do it, you probably won't have a problem, but if you do have a problem, you won't know how to fix it or how to so I wouldn't recommend that. But definitely with a PADI certified shop or another certified dive shop, take an intro course and go see what it's all about.
Hal Watts was a big name for diving classes in our community since the 1960s, and when you took his class of diving, when you would do your final thing in the pool before you go out somewhere, I have heard from divers that have taken his class is that you would be underneath there in full gear, and he would be jumping in the pool. He would rip off your regulator. He'd go away, and once you're started to get adjusted to that, he would come back down, rip off your mask, rip off your weight belt and things. And I guess that is like the only way you can that an instructor can see that you really are ready for anything and not panic.
Oh no, that doesn't happen. that shouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
No, there shouldn't be any. That's more like Navy dive training. That's not normal dive training. You go through simulated exercises where you will say, remove your regulator, put it out to the side, and then recover it. And your instructor is kneeling right in front of you, They're not assisting you in any way, but they're there right there just in case you need help. And so you kind of get used to the basic things that might happen underwater, like losing your regulator or having your mask fill up with water. So you learn how to solve those problems if they happen, but it's in a controlled environment, and there's none of that surprise attack stuff where people are ripping things off of you.
Man,
that's what I heard from some of the divers that got certified in the 60s. They said he was brutal.
That might be old school training.
Yeah.
Wow, I almost said never mind. All right. So
I would have said never mind.
All right, the book is beautiful. It's called 100 Dives of a Lifetime, the World's Ultimate Underwater Destinations. It's available on Amazon. It's #1, by the way, in multiple categories. In the travel guide categories. I don't know how to say Seychelles. How do you say that word? Seychelles?
Seychelles.
Travel guides. It's #1 in the swimming category also. And look at this. It's doing really well in the overall categories too. Just one of the top 100 books. Wow, you're doing really well. So how do we? Besides that, do we go to nationalgeographic.com?
Yep, you can always find out more information on National Geographic, and if people want to follow along with our current project, on Facebook and Instagram, we're the Dive Travelers, or you can follow me at Carrie Miller Writer, and that's Carrie.
Okay, real quick, can I ask you about the upcoming project? So you're going from town to town, and you're diving in all of them?
So we're traveling to 50 places in a calendar year. So we got on the road in the beginning of April. We get off the road mid-May. And we're going to a new place every week around the world, looking at the world's best dive travel destinations. So not only is this
so fun.
So these are destinations that are not only great for divers to have more of a land-based experience, but also for divers who are traveling with non-diving travel companions, so that there's kind of things for both of them to do. So we've been to, I think, 42 so far. We've got 8 still more to go, and 7 of the 8 are in the 100 Dives book. So I'm really excited about that.
And is this for a book or for a TV show or both?
This is for a book and possibly a TV show.
Oh, I can't wait. Oh, my gosh. I can't wait to see it. Well, thank you for taking time to be with us, Carrie, and stay warm. You're in Boston, you said, right?
I am. I'm speaking at the Boston Sea Rovers Conference this weekend, which I'm really excited about. So I'm here in Boston, and I'm completely not equipped for the snow, having come from Australia, but it's still beautiful.
Oh, my gosh. And you're so vibrant. I can't believe you went all those hours in a plane, and you're even awake. Thank you.
Lots of coffee.
Thank you, Carrie. That was fun.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. We'll be right back.
The NFL alumni is sponsoring a Clays for Kids, a sporting event to benefit the Marion County Champions for Champions. The event will take place at the Robinson Ranch in Inglis, Florida on Saturday, April 6th. Call 352-462-0380 for detailed information. The NFL alumni will provide gift bags, breakfast, lunch, prizes, and drawings throughout the day. Call 352-462-0380 for detailed information on the Clay for Kids sporting event hosted by the NFL alumni.
Freddy's Specialty Sundaes, classic American treats, made with freshly churned, rich and creamy frozen custard. Welcome to Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers, the taste that brings you back.
So now that you have your heart set on Freddy's, all you need to know is how to get there. That part is easy. Just go down Highway 200 in Ocala east of I-75. Then look for the giant frozen custard cone on the wall. Started in 1975. It's Yendel's Building Materials. Whether you're making repairs, adding a room, or building a house, Yendel's constantly delivers excellent service and top quality materials and many of the tools and hardware you need to get the job done. At Yendel's, they take pride in supplying their customers with new and innovative products. Yendel's experience in truss design, manufacturing, and component materials is second to none. 834 North Magnolia Avenue in Ocala, 732-3000. Stop by to experience the difference.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. The House votes today on a bill formally condemning anti-Semitism and other bigotry in response to comments made by Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar.
Omar is answering criticism from leaders in both parties for remarks about the pro-Israel lobby and suggestions of allegiance to a foreign government. Republicans have pushed to have Omar removed from the House Foreign Affairs Committee.
Fox's Jared Halpern. A former police officer is convicted in Florida.
Newman Raja is guilty of manslaughter and attempted murder in the 2015 killing of Corey Jones. Jones was stranded on the side of a highway when Raja, not in uniform and not wearing a badge, shot and killed Jones, claiming Jones pointed a weapon at him. Jones, who was legally carrying, never fired his weapon and ran away, ditching the gun when Raja shot him. Raja tried arguing self-defense under Florida's Stand Your Ground law.
Fox's Evan Brown. This is Fox News.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
80% of employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. It's the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Are you an animal lover concerned about wild black bears and animals born in captivity but are unable to be released into the wild? Forest Animal Rescue is here in Marion County, dedicated to helping abused or abandoned animals, soon to be the home of the rare red panda. You can be a vital part of this effort. Your contribution to the Forest Animal Rescue will help the sanctuary expand and rescue more animals. Will you help? Visit www.forestanimalrescue.org.
Palm Garden announces Fast Track. Fast Track, focused assessment, safe transition. When a new guest is admitted to Palm Garden, we start with the ABCs. A is the assessment to determine what the guest needs. B is for basic care, which is excellent nursing and therapy. And C is for consistency to provide what's needed throughout the stay. Fast Track. Palm Garden will get you home fast, really, really fast. Take a fast tour of Palm Garden, located at the corner of Southwest 27th Avenue and 34th Street.
Are you a medical provider that doesn't like to settle for the same boring scrubs? Scrub Paradise in Ocala has a wide selection of top brand scrubs with embroidery available and the newest medical shoes and accessories. Every medical provider should look as great as the care they provide. Scrub Paradise is just off Easy Street next to Shoe Carnival in Ocala. Stop by today or give them a call at 352-873-4368. That's 352-873-4368.
Here are today's headlines from The Source. WOCA. Florida U.S. Senator Marco Rubio is reintroducing the Sunshine Protection Act. Rick Hoschel has that story.
This time the plan calls for making daylight saving time permanent for the entire country, not just Florida. Last year, state lawmakers approved the bill to have an additional hour of daylight all year long in the Sunshine State, but it also had to be agreed upon in Washington. Since that didn't happen, Rubio is trying again with an expanded version of the legislation. I'm Rick Hoschel.
Almost 2 years later, a family is still wondering why teens witnessing their loved one drowning didn't call for help. Now, 2 newly introduced bills would land you in trouble for not helping someone in distress. Simone McIntosh is ready to see legislative change after her brother, Jamel Dunn, who was 31 years old, screamed for help while drowning. All the while, the teens that saw Dunn